So the Germans had a plan that Torgau should be defended as a fortress against the Allied forces. Okay.
Hier auf der Ostseite waren 3 Panzergräben, 500 Meter, 1 Kilometer, 5 Kilometer gegen den Russen.
Okay, here on the eastern side there were actually tank divisions, half a kilometer, then 5 kilometers against the Russians, against the Soviets, as a bulwark against the Soviets.
Torgau wurde 10 Tage vor der Begegnung von der Zivilbevölkerung durchhalten.
So Torgau was basically sealed off and all the civilians had to leave.
Ich war damals 14 Jahre und kam zum Volkssturm.
Mr. Richter, he was only 14 years old and he had to join the Volkssturm. The Volkssturm was basically a lot of German soldiers had fallen already, of course, in the war on the Russian front, and also a lot of them had been prisoners of war. So they actually took 14 years old children. If you just figure, some of your grandsons might be 14. They took 14 years old children to defend a cause that was lost already. So he went to the Volkssturm. Volkssturm means basically the people's storm. So the last basically troops of civilians, people that were actually not supposed to fight in the war, not regular soldiers, but people that, or civilians that they just took in because they didn't have enough soldiers.
Wir bekamen Uniformen und gingen jeden Tag zum Schießen mit Maschinenpistolen zum Schießplatz.
Okay, they received uniforms and machine pistols, and they took those machine pistols to a rehearsal place, basically, where they were practicing how to shoot.
Wir lagen hier im Schloss, wir waren 14-Jährige, so 50 Mann ungefähr, und lagen also hier im Schloss und haben die Brüsten.
Okay, so they were, he says 50 men, of course we would say 50 children, once again 50 young boys of 14 years old were actually here in that castle of Hartenfels. With their machine pistols, most probably totally scared. This is not what he's saying, this is what I'm assuming. Totally scared, most probably waiting for the Soviets in this castle.
3 Tage vor dem Eintreffen der Truppen wurden aus Torgau alle militärischen Einheiten abgezogen.
3 Tage?
So ungefähr 3 Tage vor Volkssturm, Militär.
Okay, so 3 days before the actual Elbe day, all military was withdrawn from here. The Germans said everybody out, everybody. We're talking about the Volkssturm, about the young boys. We're talking about SS, which was stationed here. And we're talking about the Wehrmacht, the regular army, the regular military.
So, uns 14-Jährige haben wir nicht mitgenommen. Wir mussten auf den Marsch marschieren. Und dort hat uns die SS den Waffen abgenommen und hat gesagt, schnell.
So the 14 years old, they didn't take with them, but they were actually told to go to the market square. They had to march to the market square where the SS was waiting for them. The SS took their weapons from the young boys, took the weapons, and the SS told them, go fast, go to your parents. Okay, leave, go to your parents. Put off your uniforms and go to your parents.
So, wir hatten, meine Eltern hatten am Rande der Stadt ein Haus und da war Viehzeug, Ziegen, Schweine, die mussten jeden Tag gefüttert werden. Da musste ich also jeden Tag von dem Dorf nach Torgau fahren.
Okay. His parents, they had a house a little bit outside of Torgau, kind of a small farm with like pigs, some goats, some sheep, and he had to feed them every day. So he actually, to be able to join this Volkssturm, he had to go with a bicycle every day from this little farming house, his parents' house, back to Torgau. So with the bicycle he went.
Auf so einer Rückfahrt ein Auto kommen, musste aber nicht. war, habe mich versteckt. Und das war die amerikanische Patrouille mit Jeep, mit Maschinengewehr und drinnen waren zwei
Oh, okay. One day he was going back and he saw from the west coming a jeep, an American jeep. Okay, they were approaching. He was hiding because he didn't know who they were. And then once they were coming closer, he saw those were American soldiers in a jeep with machine rifles, not pistols, but with machine guns. Yeah. And they had actually captured 2 SS people. And they were handcuffed.
Ja, der Jeep ist hier runtergefahren zur Elbe. Auf der anderen Seite war inzwischen auch eine Patrouille überrückt.
Okay, so the jeep came down here to the Elbe, and on the other side, there was, in the meantime, there was a patrol. You know those seekers, the ones that they send before the actual scouts, yeah, patrol, yeah, scouts, okay. From the Soviets, they were on the other side and they were looking basically more or less at each other.
Am nächsten Tag kam dann ein amerikanischer Konvoi und die russischen Truppen waren dann auch rangerückt und dann stand die
Okay, so next day, American troops had come, not only one jeep, but a lot of American troops had come down here from on this side where we are standing at the moment, while on the other side, the Soviets were approaching. The Soviets had troops there, and that was the day when those 2 armies were actually meeting here in Torgau. Here. So basically where you see this bridge here behind us, this bridge that you see here, this was the location of another bridge in those days, which was dynamited by the Germans, because the Germans didn't want the Allied forces to be able to cross rivers. They dynamited all the bridges before they left. They did this all over Germany, not only here in Torgau. And the remains of that bridge, the Soviets came from that side, the Americans from this side, and this is where they were basically trying to cross that dynamite bridge and shaking hands. This is where they met.
So, danach wurde von den Russen eine Pontonbrücke mit der Kran liegt von der Ecke hier rüber gebaut und dann wollten die russischen Panzer und das schwere Kriegsgerät über die Pontonbrücke nach Süden Richtung
Okay, so the Russians, the Soviets had built a pontoon bridge where you see the crane over there in the back side, yeah? This is where they had built a pontoon bridge, and along that pontoon bridge, across that pontoon bridge, they actually transported like their tanks and heavy weapons, and they were marching, moving towards the west to the Czech Republic, where they were meeting up with other troops that had liberated the Czechoslovakia, what it was called in those days.
So in der Zeit war also Torgau eine gesetzlose Stadt. Es wurde die Zivilbevölkerung kam teilweise zurück. Es kamen auch Russen und alle, die nach Osten wollten, Polen, zurück, konnten aber nicht sicher. Torgau wurde geplündert, wir waren verpflegt gemacht. Der Wehrmacht wurden alle geplündert von allen, von der Zivilbevölkerung. Aber jeder hat sie geholt, was er kriegen kann. Niemand hat dann was dagegen.
So in those days, Torgau was a city basically without laws, no? Because we had a lot of soldiers here. Of course, the civilians had come back to Torgau, and of course a lot of refugees, a lot of escapees from the east that were chased out from the east that tried to get across the river but couldn't because, of course, the bridges were dynamited, and this pontoon bridge was a military bridge. So everybody was stealing, plundering, robbing from everybody, more or less. Also, the Germans had here, supplies, storage of supplies, of food supplies that was located here in Torgau, and all this was stolen. Okay, so it was basically a city without laws, without rules, without laws.
So bis zu der Zeit haben ja die Russen sinnlos durchgekommen. Aber dann kam das Cross und
Das war's nicht.
das Cross der Russen. Also die Pferde waren und das russische, die hatten den Nachschub nach Feuer und Gesetz. Und für die Frauen begann eine sehr schöne Zeit. Es waren also es wurde ständig vergewaltigt, nicht bloß von den Mannschaften, sondern von den Offizieren. Denen hat gesagt, die Frauen sind zurückgehalten. So, und das hat auch in meiner Familie, meine Mutter, meine Schwestern, vergewaltigt, das war eine Tagesordnung. Und meine Mutter hat mir zu mir gesagt, wir können froh sein, dass unsere Männer nicht da wären, werden dann auch so.
Okay, so now that also meant that across this bridge, like the Soviets came, Soviet soldiers with the horses, and before they were just passing through here, now they were basically staying here. And he said that was the time also when terrible times for women started, because the Russians basically were, the Soviets were raping all the women. That was normal, that was daily business, so to say. Because Stalin had said all those women are easy prey for you, you take whatever you want. His own mother and his sisters were also raped, by the way. And his mother had said, lucky that our men are not here, the men were still either prisoners of war or somewhere else. And she said, thank God the men are not here, the Soviets would have shot them without hesitating.
So, ich denke, dass wir nie wieder einen schlimmen Krieg haben. Wir leben jetzt seit 60 Jahren im Frieden und
So he's saying now since 67 years they're living in peace, more or less, and he hopes there's no more anywhere in any time such a terrible war, and that he wishes to live in peace up to the rest of his life. And of course he wishes us a very good day and a very good continuation of the trip. Thank you very much.